Larry contacts me and says, "Is it? I'd like you to be in the show. Do you want to be in the show?" "Yeah, I'd like to, Larry." Okay. Listen, here's how we do it. I give you a couple, an outline, what we're going to talk about, and then we talk about it. You have a responsibility about getting out a couple things. You have two things you got to get out, and you're going to play my therapist. Okay? All right, we'll see you then. It's like,
This is Good One. I am Jesse David Fox, senior writer, vulture, and author of Comedy Book. My guest this week is Bryan Cranston. We'll be talking about Malcolm in the Middle, which is back for a 4-episode revival this month, Breaking Bad, and stories from Bryan's 45 years as a working actor. Expect some unexpected Power Rangers trivia. So, here is Bryan Cranston. I am here with Bryan Cranston. Thank you. Wait, I said your name weird.
I hope you keep that in.
All right, I'll keep it in. I'm here with Bryan Cranston. Thank you so much for joining me.
Nice to see you,
Nice
Jesse.
to see you. So the first question we ask, what is the funniest, strangest, or most fascinating thing that happened to you this week?
Well, that's kind of easy for me, actually, now. On Monday, I was in Venice, Italy, shooting on a boat with Seth Rogen and Ike Barinholtz and Catherine Hahn and Chase Suey Wonders, and we're shooting a scene from the studio. So we were there for a little over 2 weeks shooting 2 episodes of the studio, and it was bonkers.
Yeah.
I mean, the city itself is astonishingly beautiful. I love Venice, and I love getting lost in it. So you have all that, and there's no cars, there's no bicycles, there's no scooters. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You're just wandering and looking at the age and marveling at the idea that all these buildings were built on wooden posts that sort of, became hardened like petrified wood. And that's what's holding all these things. It's incredible. And then we have the show, The Studio, which is just insane fun. And we worked with Julia Garner and Michael Keaton, Madonna, Donald Glover. It's like it's been a great time.
Is part of what's so fascinating is the contrast of like you're in Venice, it is Venice, like as beautiful as it is, and then you're making this show that is a different energy than Venice.
Yeah, I would say the bigger contrast for me personally was I had just left London after 5 months. I was doing a very serious play there, All My Sons by Arthur Miller. And so that was a very driving, emotional, devastating thing. And then to go doing this frivolous thing in this gorgeous place, it just reminded me of how lucky I am and being able to experience so many different things that it's just bizarre.
Yeah. We're here partly to talk about Malcolm in the Middle, which is coming back after 20 years. I believe you really were the driving force to make this happen. Creatively, what was driving you to see this to happen? The show coming back.
Well, 20 years ago when we stopped shooting the show, Malcolm was just going off to college, and there was a lot of unanswered questions, a lot of open chapters. And so about 10 years ago, I started talking to Linwood Boomer, who created the show, and I said, wouldn't it be interesting to find out what happened to the boys, and did Malcolm go further in college, or what's he doing now, and what are the other boys doing, and no, and it was an absolute no. I'm done. I have no idea. I can't even enter that realm of thinking about. And then about a year after that, I said, but what do you think? I mean, and he goes, well, I don't think so. I think we're moving on from some. But I noticed the slight distinction between absolutely not and I don't think so. And I was like, ooh, there's a crack. There's a little crack, a fissure. Just started working in through his comment. And then, so I waited another year and a half or something, and I pitched him again with the idea, well, every time I meet fans, they're asking me what happened to them. I go, I don't know. Wouldn't that be interesting? And yeah, I'd love to see what happened to them. So I told Linwood that, and he go, well, I mean, if there's a great idea, then I might consider it. But so I knew we were on the pathway until finally I kind of broke him down to at least just think about it in with all sincerity. And so he said he would. And knowing him, he wouldn't have done this had he not come up with this really, really clever, great idea. And so he pitched it to me, and I thought, this is amazing. I'm all in. Let's make a call and see if the cast is all in, and they were, and it was like, okay,
Yeah.
let's take it further.
What is it for you to play Halligan? Was it you're just curious where the story goes because the story ends someone on a cliffhanger? Is it you knew this person, you were playing this person for 7 years. You're personally curious what it's like to see what this person is at the age that you are. You know, you were both aging at the
Yeah.
same time.
You remember Richard Linklater's Boyhood?
Yeah.
And it was like 12 years after they shot that first section or something,
Yeah.
and I thought, "Hey, that's kinda really interesting filmmaking."
Yeah.
We have the opportunity to do something similar to that 20 years later. You don't need any I mean, we're all gray, except now. I dyed my hair for the studio.
Got it.
But
Looks great.
I'm gray, and Jane is gray, and the boys in Malcolm in the Middle are right around the same age I was when we first started the show in 1999. And now they have kids of their own. I mean, it's like it's a great feeling to reintroduce ourselves
Mm.
into a relationship that has gone over, 26 years.
Yeah, yeah. I want to talk about who the character is now, but I want to start with how the character became who it became. Um, so from the first episode, Hal does not say much. He's mostly kind of a sight gag.
Yeah.
How did you figure out who he was?
Um, Interesting bit of trivia there that I didn't know is that Linwood wrote this character and he didn't quite flesh him out. He was like, "Oh, I think I had maybe 5 lines in the entire
Yeah.
pilot." And so I was trying to think, oh, who is this man? How do I approach this? I can't just deliver lines without knowing my point of view and how I feel in those
Yeah.
scenes that I'm there but silent. So I was kind of lost. And then I looked at the Lois character and I thought, my God, this character is fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
she is in charge. She is domineering. She is fearless. She is tough. And I thought, ooh, 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 ooh. I got out a legal pad and I started writing down all those things that Lois was: fearless, domineering, tough, you know, impenetrable. And I would write the opposite of exactly what she was: fearful, he could collapse.
Yeah.
He's vulnerable. He's soft. And I thought, wait a minute, this is a descriptive of a character. It is in contrast to Lois, but I think in a nice way, you have to have
Yeah, yeah.
balance. And I thought I would be a fool to try to compete with that dynamo
Yeah.
of a character. And Jane, just personifies that woman so magnificently. And so I thought, just go opposite, go opposite,
Yeah.
go opposite. And that's how I started come up with the ideas. Now, what's interesting is the pilot went and Fox at the time said, we love this show. It's great. The only thing is, the father, he's not funny.
Yeah.
So you need to recast. And to my great good fortune, Linwood Boomer said, no.
Yeah.
It's not him. I didn't flesh him out. I didn't write enough. I didn't really have where that guy should be placed, what his role is. And he can do it. And no, we're not recasting. And they said, I think he should be. We should recast. And he said, no, not happening. Not going to do it.
It's amazing that he would admit, like, essentially, that it's not your fault. Like, there's a lot of creators who be like, yeah, actually, their actor messed up.
Well, I mean, he had to focus on the dynamic between the two main characters.
Yeah.
Malcolm certainly had to figure out what's his domain, and then Lois to counter that as the matriarch and calling the shots in the family. So where does another parent fit in that? And I thought, fill in the attributes that she might be lacking. sweetness, softness, you know, gullibility, you know, I mean, all these things that she wasn't. And it's just started. And that's where the fearful there. I got a hold of that, and all of a sudden, Hal, she's fearless. I'm fearful.
Yeah.
So I'm fearful of everything, of spiders, of heights, of someone walking in on me. Of, you know, everything was and I thought, oh, this is a template for a comedic character.
Yeah, because I think comedy sitcoms are often about dynamics, right? So you had less of a character, but you're like, what is the dynamic will be the joke engine between me and this
Yeah.
character, and you had to figure, and by figuring out the dynamic, you're like, oh, I'm the person that would fit this dynamic.
Yes, I can fulfill this need
Hmm.
as because the boys, you know, they were roughhouse and they were figuring things out, but they're all ambitious.
Yeah.
And Hal, not ambitious, you know, he's fearful of getting fired, of losing his kid, you know, being a bad parent, all these things. And I realized, oh, this is something that I could really lean into. And for an actor's standpoint, we always feel we need something to hold on to.
Yeah.
If we can hold on to something, I have a better understanding of that character, and I know how to deliver a line for that character.
And then I think through the first season, you figure out exactly what makes you funny. I think like a breakthrough was the roller skating episode, where you at this point, you, as you said, that you only know so much about this character, and then you realize they are sort of this like expert disco dancing roller skater, and you do it. Do you remember shooting that episode? Learning
Sure.
how good of a roller skater were you
No,
before?
I know. The last time I was on roller skates, they were made of metal.
Sure.
Okay. Now it's like, woo, they were very slippery. But our choreographer, Fred Talixon, who was terrific and patient with me, and I had a little head start. I knew that this episode was going to shoot in 2 weeks. I think I had 2 weeks to, and so every day after work, I would meet up with him in the area that was the schoolyard where we were going to shoot those sequences, and with every pad imaginable, because I was going down all the time. But at a certain point, something clicks. It's the same thing when you're teaching a child to swim. It's like, oh, I don't know, and then all of a sudden, boom, and then it go, oh, they've
Yeah.
crossed over
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
threshold, and they're okay. They're going to figure this out, and that's the way it was for me. I crossed over. I was hesitant and scared of it, and then I fell enough times to stop being afraid of falling, and then now here we go. Just go and just try the moves, and I'm spinning, and now I'm shoot the duck, and I can do all these kinds of spins and turns and things like that I never thought I could be able to do.
And then once you do it, you're like, oh, I now know more about the body of the characters. Is it full? Like, does it sort of? You're like, okay, well, now I need to do now I know how to roller skate enough that I can dance as well as the character does.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's an improv. It's a
Yeah.
yes and so we accept new characteristics about your character,
Mm,
and you go, okay, how can we build on that? If he can dance on roller skates, then maybe he has some good moves, and
yeah.
and it's another thing you add to him as a character.
And also like the musicality, right?
Yeah.
One of the great stories in your book is about how you learned that you became a member of ASCAP or BMI because of the.
Yeah, I was doing. I got a call from the music department, clearing department at Fox, and they said, "Can I talk to you a second?" Yeah, sure. What's up? And they said, "Well, I have to record every half second to second." Every half second and more
Mm,
of any music that's on the show, and properly give its due. Who was the author of that? Who was the producer of that? And so otherwise, I will get in
yeah.
trouble and maybe fired. And I said, oh, okay, but why are you talking to me? Well, because you hum and you whistle on the show a lot. And the question I have for you is that are any of those tunes that you hum or whistle, from a legitimate song or something? And I said, how dare you? I don't plagiarize. I create my own. And they said, you're the author then, and you might as well be paid for that. So I thought, oh my God, this is great. So I joined BMI, and to this day, I get a check quarterly, like a couple $100. It's the most ridiculous thing. So I would take that check and I would say, "Hey," to the crew, and I would buy some, some cocktail
Yeah.
paraphernalia so that we would have a nice little party on every other Friday or so.
The sense I get is I imagine at some point the writers would have days where they just made a list of things for your character to do
Yeah.
and then be like, okay, how can we have a story that justifies,
Well, yeah.
yeah, doing that? Can you think of what was the wildest, craziest thing they had you to do, your reaction to it, and then how you were convinced to do it?
Well, I was probably the section of the bots and bees where the boys they're trying to figure out a robot competition to destroy the other, the school's entry. And Hal, for some reason, gets involved in that. And the boys lose interest. And he's now fascinated with this idea of creating this robot that can attack another robot. And, everything trial and error. And he comes up with this idea that he's going to have bees. And Malcolm says, but it's a robot that we're attacking. It's metal. But he attacks the person operating the robot, and then they can't operate the
Yeah.
robot. And and so what happens is I end up with, I think there was something like 60,000 honeybees on me. It felt like chainmail I was wearing. And they took just some insect repellent
Yeah.
and put it on, just wiped it
You have
up.
to make sure they knew it was you.
Yeah, because we can't.
What's the point of you doing it? If
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
covered.
So my face is like that, and you see it's me, but how that came about is that they came up with, the writer said, how about this crazy idea? What about that? And they came up with this idea about wearing bees, and Linwood Boomer always told me, he said, I will never ask you to do something that I wouldn't do myself, but this I won't do. So I'm breaking that promise. And he told me about it. I said, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And so then they had to reverse engineer the story to justify how this could possibly be. So that's how
When
it
you're
came
covered in bees,
Yeah.
are you acting? Because in many ways that looks like a thing that'd be on Jackass or whatever. Like it's a stunt, but in that moment, do you feel like you're in character?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a lot to do
Yeah.
when I was eventually covered in bees, but I got stung twice, once in my shoulder and once on my scrotum,
Mm-hmm.
to which the beekeeper was at the ready when I got, okay, let's see if we can scrape it up. And then when he says, I said, I think I got stung. He goes, where? I go, in my ball sack. And he goes, you're on your own. But I will say that the thing you discover, what I realized is that a bee sting really isn't, it's not painful.
Yeah.
What is painful, and I would say about 85 to 90% of a bee sting pain is the element of surprise and shock. What was that? It's just a surprise. But I'm standing there with 60,000 bees. The likelihood of getting stung, yeah, it's pretty high.
Yeah.
So when it happened, I just went, wait, I think I had to shift a little bit. Yeah, I think I got stung. And that was the extent of it. Almost like getting a shot,
Yeah.
a needle in the arm.
It was just to cover kids in bees all the time, then they won't be scared.
They won't be scared.
You play this character for 7 years, which well over 100 episodes. Sitcom characters inherently don't necessarily change the way we think of maybe a film character does. Do you feel like he changes? Do you feel like your understanding of him deepens and that sort of informs it? How's that different? How do you think of what the creative arc for you is when you're doing a character like this?
Well, I think the first season, I don't know how many episodes we did the first season, maybe 20 or so, 22, I don't know. I think the first season you're still looking for new things, and like you said, the Rose Gates episode, oh, he's a disco, okay, and you're still collecting ideas and thoughts about the character and building your bouquet of who this person is, but then after that, you kind of got him, and then it's almost like going to work like Mr. Rogers, and you put on your comfortable sweater and you slip on your comfortable indoor shoes, and there you are. And the the strange thing is that when we did this new
Yeah.
iteration of Malcolm, I had no idea how we would all react, even myself, to going into those characters after they've been lying dormant for
Mhm.
in their coffins for 20 years. And I when we had the first table read of the episodes, I was just blown away because all of a sudden everybody it was like, that's him, that's her, that's him, that's me. Oh my God, we're back.
Yeah.
It was like we didn't miss a beat.
What is it playing him in 2026 versus playing him 20 years ago?
Um, it's he's got more aches and pains. Um, he's a little different in that the family structure is different. He's actually more calm
Mm.
now because all the boys are gone. We have a non-binary child at home that is a perfect child, never gets in trouble, which is actually kind of boring to us. You
Yeah,
know, it
yeah.
was like, what's happening with this one? You know, and Hal still struggles with the right pronoun. Does them want to go shopping? You know, and but he's trying and trying to embrace. He loves all his kids. You know, and yeah, I think I think it's a natural progression. It didn't feel like cut off and then I have to
Mm.
leap this chasm in order to make sense of where he is now. It felt natural.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was 41 and I started the series in 99, um, I I was like, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, this is familiar to me, so it's and then now, you know, it's like, "Oh, yeah, all these kids around, I'm not a grandfather yet, unfortunately, but but I am a godfather to
Yeah.
kids and things," and it's like, "Oh, this is how it is." It just felt natural.
Do you think about the 20 years in between? Like, did you spend time like, what did he do when this happened? How did he respond to that? Or you just sort of like take him as he is right now?
Well, I think I took him as he is right now because once we said goodbye, I wasn't
Yeah,
contemplating. It
yeah,
was like I was closing that chapter and moving on. And then when it was when it came back, it was a new chapter. It was so different. It's kind of like a previous marriage.
sure.
You know, it's like a previous marriage, and you look back and you go, God, it seems like it was someone else's life that was married before.
There's also a quality that kind of gets echoed in the show itself, which is when kids return home, they are the person they were when they were a kid in many ways. And you see Malcolm
Yeah.
is this new person, but then when the family dynamic reemerges, he is the
He
character from the
just,
show.
yeah, yeah.
I was curious what the show means for you personally. I was thinking about, I was reading your book, and obviously you describe a sort of more tumultuous childhood you had, and your father left when you were 11. And what was it like to have this experience of playing a tumultuous family that stays together, that loves each other through the tumult? Do you feel like it helped you? Do you feel like it's maybe healing in some ways? I think about there are studies that when parents have kids, there's something about that heals a sort of part of their brain that has a certain dynamic they understand about parent relationships if they act differently than their parent did. Is is there something about returning to this family that is meaningful to you in that way?
Very, very meaningful. I mean, when you spend every day for 7 years with these people, you form that kind of bond
Yeah.
and familial sensibility. Um, and so and Jane and I would dispute the fact when someone would say this dysfunctional family, and I go, you know what? It's actually very functional.
Yeah.
We have dinner together at that table every night. We figure things out. Do we have problems? Of course we have problems. And we're trying to figure things out. Are the kids crazy? Of course they're crazy. But that's the magic potion that made Malcolm in the Middle work
Yeah.
in its original concept. And I think how it carries over into this new iteration is that at the core of the show is love. And when push comes to shove, you know that that family would congeal and make it work and fight off the demons that are attacking the family.
Mm.
And then they would splinter again, but it would work. And so I think there is some comfort to it. In my own personal life, when I was 11, my father left, and I didn't quite understand that. And my mother was very despondent by that and started drinking. And so she wasn't really available to me emotionally. She was there and my father wasn't available at all. So I'm left to my own devices. And that's not a great thing for an 11 or 12-year-old to figure out, well, that's the easier way to go. I think we go that way. Um, and so that's where my uncle dubbed me a Sneaky Pete. He called me Sneaky Pete, and I know, what do you mean, Sneaky Pete? Well, you're kind of sneaky. You kind of, you don't answer questions. You kind of, so like this. And I go, and I realize in retrospect, oh, that was me just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Since I didn't have parental guidance, I had to make my own.
Mm.
And I wasn't prepared to make my own parental guidance.
Yeah.
I was 11
Yeah.
and 12 and 13 and 14, and it was like, oh. And so that's what, so finally I created a show called Sneaky Pete because it was such a part of me that I said, oh, okay, I think I have to get this out, figure out who that guy is, who I would have become if I didn't find acting, if I didn't find something that I could become so passionate about and put all my energies into.
Yeah, and it changes all the time. So there's different direction. It is constantly renewing. I mean, like the thing about you different roles, and you're like, okay, be this. You can support everything. There's something
Right.
where like, it reminds me of play therapy, like how kids go to therapy, which is like they don't have the language to describe certain things that happen to them, but they're like, play with these toys, and you observe them that way. And there is something to acting, especially how you describe it, that does feel like, oh, this person is doing a version of play therapy where like, oh, I'll use this and see what this brings out of me, and what then I could channel that, what it brings out into a role.
I would actually, now that you brought it up, it makes me think. I would love to talk to therapists and psychologists to say, did you see anything in the way that Lois and Hal parent that is effective at all? I used to say, because we got some parents that go, oh man, you're killing me, you're letting these boys go crazy and things like this, and I used to say, no, we're actually very effective parents. How do you mean effective? I go, just watch how we parent, do the opposite, and you'll be fine.
What is interesting is, in many ways, I would be not surprised if some child psychologists write about Malcolm in the Middle with this, because your show came out at exact time where there was a sort of shift in parenting, where parents were much more concerned about the safety of their kids, and it was called what is now called safetyism, which is they need to make sure at all times the kids are safe. So like even people who had childhoods where 8, 9, they were just allowed roam free, they would raise their kids 8, 9. You can't be alone in your house. You can't be alone in the front yard. And now there's a sort of backlash to happening where there's studies and psychologists saying that kids benefit from being able to navigate dangerous situations themselves, because life is dangerous. So in many ways, I think that is the model that they will applaud you for.
It is very interesting. I mean, but the term dangerous is a full spectrum.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like, but you're right. I'm 70 years old, and when I was a boy growing up in the 60s. We were on our bikes and we took off. Our parents, none of my friends in the neighborhood, none of our parents knew anything about where we were at all.
Yeah.
And we used kind of a connective tissue of like my mother used to yell out, "Kia ki, kia ki," like aquí in Spanish. Here, come here. I don't know why. And so we'd be riding our bikes, and some other kid would come by and go, "Brian, what? Your mother said Kiki." You're saying, "Oh, I know what she means. Okay, thanks, man." And we'd do it. Your mom was looking for you. She was pretty mad. So okay, I'll get home. You kind of knew that you'd get home before it got dark.
Yeah.
Once dusk happens, you better head home.
Yeah.
And because that's about the way, it was. But they had no clue where we were at any time.
Yeah. And I think that is soon to come more in vogue. The idea that maybe we should go back to something closer to that. I literally was reading an article today about
Interesting.
that studies are showing that it helps kids to have the freedom to navigate certain situations. I mean, like, because the idea of safety has been really broadly defined, which is like, oh, can kids play sports by themselves without parents watching them? You know, when I was growing up, we played touch football, tackle football, and then, my parents knew where it was, but didn't feel like they needed to be the ref when that was happening.
Uh-huh.
And I think that has come more in vogue, but now there's
Right.
more studies saying like maybe we need to allow kids to.
You just had a baby
Mhm.
recently. Is this your first?
Yes.
Do you think you'll be that parent?
I'm working on it.
I'm telling you because it's interesting for new parents. It's like, oh, this is an experience that I've never
Yeah.
felt before. I will die for this child. I will do anything for this child. And then so your own sensibility
Yes.
changes. When you're single, like, oh, I would never do that as a parent. And you go, well, just hang on.
Yeah, I mean, it's
See
easy to
what
read the articles. It's different to be
Yeah.
like, "Okay, see you later."
Yeah.
Uh, there are obviously Malcolm was partly pioneering because of the single cam sitcom, but, like, so there were more dramatic moments, not like hard drama, but like dramatic moments,
Yeah.
your serious moments. And there are comedic moments in other things you've done, like Breaking Bad has a lot of comedic moments. In your opinions, is there a difference between acting in a comedy or acting in a drama?
Well, there's a technical difference. I
Yeah.
mean, there's an added element to comedy that is not present in drama, and that
Mm,
is timing.
mm,
As you know, being a comedic guy, you can't just take as much time as you want to deliver a line
yeah,
in
yeah.
comedy. You can kill it, and yet, I think any good comedy has a nice dose of dramatic sensibility to ground it a
Yeah.
little bit. And conversely, any good drama has to be buoyed by you got to give your audience a break. You cannot go bang and
Yeah.
keep pounding them in the head with some dramatic effect. You have to give them a break to be able to have some different emotion, reset. I'm ready to go. I'll go back into this drama, and that's really good narrative
Yeah,
construct.
yeah.
It really is. So
John C. Reilly, I asked him the same question because he's done both, and he says, I do a similar thing except for there's a light in your eyes when you do comedy. You have to let the audience know a little bit that you're having fun for them to have fun as well."
well, it depends on the character you're
Yeah.
playing. If you're playing an obtuse character who says something that's funny, but the character doesn't know it's funny, if you're going, "Hey," then that's not it. But you take someone like Tina Fey, who is just brilliant, and I did a thing with Catherine O'Hara.
Yeah.
Played her husband on an episode of 30 Rock, and there was I remember I talk about this because it's like she wrote a line. Um, she's her character is looking at something. I forget, it was a brochure or something of some idyllic, just utopian place with palm trees and sand and water, and she said the words, "I want to go to there," and she added the word to, "I want to go to there,"
Mhm.
as opposed to, "Oh, I want to go there." That one little change of adding the word "to" before the word "there" changed it from just a statement of fact to a comedic twist.
Yeah.
Subtle, but a comedic twist. And I just think it's just genius when someone can identify that. I had that experience on Seinfeld to watch Jerry and Larry and these great actors on the show sculpt
Yeah.
just kind of like it's clay, and they have a sharp knife and they're just sliding through and slicing out time and beats and moments that enhance the comedic value, and it's like a souffle. If
Yeah.
you pull it out too soon and the thing flattens, it's like, "Oh."
You mentioned Catherine O'Hara, who you were on. You did you I believe you played a married couple on 30 Rock, and then you got to be in the studio together. Do you have a memory of working with her that stands out?
Oh, yeah. I've played her husband on 3 different projects, and then on the studio, her nemesis. Um, yeah, I don't know why. I mean, we just kept getting coupled, and anytime I heard Catherine's doing it, like, "Oh, I wanna be in there," 'cause she was such a a comedic genius. I mean,
Mhm.
she just knew what was going to be funny at any given time. But the real beauty about Catherine was that when your scene is over, it's like cut and we'll go sit down, we'll do another scene or we'll do another take.
Mhm.
You just wanted to stay there and hang out with her because she was such a beautiful human. I mean, she, unlike some comedic people that still try to, hey,
Yeah, yeah,
hey,
yeah, yeah.
she just went, okay, let's reset, and was just a
It's beautiful.
person
Yeah.
and lovely. And I just miss her. And we were just, like I said, in Venice shooting the studio, and we talked about her almost every day, and said, how much we all missed her, and I missed her character, and it really. But Seth Rogen said it. He said, I just feel that she would have said, "All right, enough. Get back to work. Enough, enough. Thank you. I appreciate it. I
Yeah, yeah,
appreciate it. Now get back to work. Go, go, go." And we all laughed because that's
yeah.
really
Who she is,
that's
yeah.
really true.
I think a good way of delineating how you see sort of the comedy in a comedy and a comedy in a drama was the story of when you read that. Oh my god, why can't we when you read this pilot for Breaking Bad and you saw that he was gonna be wearing Tighty-Whities as well, and
Yeah,
you're presenting it, and then having to figure out what that means because obviously in Malcolm in the Middle, you were wearing underwear throughout much of it.
yeah,
Um, can you talk about how you then figured out how to wear Tighty-Whities as a different character?
yeah. My initial sense was, oh no, when I went to the opening call, and I had forgotten that. True, in the pilot of Breaking Bad, it says Walter White, in tidy whitey underwear and green shirt or whatever like that, and he's out in the middle of the desert, and who is this man? What the hell's he
Yeah.
doing? Um, and then I forgot about that. And I went to the initial, once I got the job, and I went to the initial wardrobe call, and there were, shirts and slacks and pants and things like that, and underwear. And I said, "Oh, yeah, let's not do that." And we talked about it, and I went to Vince, and I said, before I just did
Yeah.
7 years of being in tight white underwear, and he goes, "Oh, I hadn't realized that when I wrote it."
Yeah.
Um, I said, "Do you mind if we don't do tight?" "No, okay, that's fine." And I go, "Okay, good." So he gave me permission to not do
Mm.
it. And then I said, "Okay, well," and I'm trying on different things, and I kept thinking, but why would he write tidy whitey underwear? I mean, there must have been, even if he wasn't consciously thinking, this is the look I want, there's something subconsciously that he wrote that for some reason. And I tried to figure out what that was, as opposed to just, formally just going, that's done. We did that. Now, when I did it on Malcolm, it was kind of the same thing.
Mm.
1999, going into my wardrobe call, and I first passed by the table where all the boys' clothes were, and I went, "Oh, look how cute those were," and all the different sizes of tidy whitey underwear. And I said, and she said, "Yeah, I think Heidi Kaczynski, the wardrobe designer, said, yeah, I just think that they're a poor family, and so they just hand down clothes, and there's different sizes." And I went, and I don't think they had him in tidy whitey underwear. And I was saying, I think Hal. What do you think about Hal being in tighty-whitey? He's like a boy.
Yeah.
He's just a boy, and we could save my underwear for the oldest boy,
Yeah, exactly.
and it just worked because Hal was a big boy,
Mhm.
and so I easily wrapped my arms around it, and quite frankly, because it's funny.
Yes.
When you see a grown man in tighty-whitey underwear, it's immediately a funny
Yes.
picture.
100%.
So now you go to Breaking Bad, and I go, but I don't want it to be funny. And then I thought, but why did he write that? Why did he write that? And as I'm formulating this character of Walter White, I realized that fear was at the center of Hal. What was at the center of Walt? I always try to find that emotional core,
Mhm.
and I couldn't find it, couldn't find it, couldn't find it. And I went, what the hell's happening? I can't get this guy. And I realized at some point, epiphany, because I was thinking about it, is that he doesn't even know. It's calloused over. He doesn't know who he is.
Mm.
He's a forgotten man. He's socially. I'll say this in the term socially retarded
Mm,
in his development as a human being. He stopped growing and
mm,
evolving because he got depressed. And I said, oh, I'm onto it. I'm onto it. And that's where I went back to, I said, that's why he would wear tighty-whitey underwear, because he doesn't
yeah,
care, because he doesn't think, no, I need to wear boxers now. No, he got stalled out, and that's where he ended up.
yeah.
So the look on Walter White in tighty-whitey underwear is actually pathetic. It's not. It's like
100%, yeah.
you don't laugh when Hal wears it. It's like, oh my God, it's so cute and so bizarre. When Walter White wears tidy white, it's like, oh, this poor bastard.
It's
He's
fascinating.
yeah,
Because they're opposite, right? There's almost something empowering. You're like, "Look how free Hal is." And then look and same item of clothing, and you're
yeah,
like, "Look how stunted and meek and feeble this
yeah,
Walter is."
yeah. And so that kicked it off. And so from there, I went, oh, and he's always a few pounds overweight. He has a mustache that I wanted. I said, I want it to look impotent. And we're like, well, what does that mean? I don't know. But I want it to look like your mustache is full
Oh,
and nice. It's a mustache.
thanks.
But I wanted this mustache to look like, hey, bud,
Yeah,
you
what are you
going to
doing?
grow that out or shave it off?
Yeah.
And I wanted it to be nebulous. It's not in any one camp.
Mm.
So the way we figured that out is you have to cut it off before it dips. Yours dips a little bit, too manly. It's too manly. I'm sorry,
I
Jess.
can't be cast to play Walter White.
You can't be a Walter White because it's too manly. Anytime you dip a facial mustache,
Mm, a
a
must.
mustache that goes below the edge of the lip, too manly. So I had to make sure it was above that. And then my makeup person, Frida Valenzuela, she went in there and thinned it out so you can see clear skin
Yeah,
underneath. It thinned it, and we looked, ooh, a little more, thinned it. It's like, there it is.
there he is.
Because so I took the color out of my face. So I have a normally Irish ruddy face. Took that color out. Took the color out of my hair. At the time, it was brown with some red highlights. Took the red out completely. He is a man, and then that informed the wardrobe.
Mm,
It's like, oh, he should be in taupe and beige and light yellow and off white and something that he would blend into the
yeah.
wall. He's nondescript. He is invisible to himself and society. That was Walter White. So
Yeah.
once you lock in on something, it's like you get excited because it informs everything else.
Is that something you would then tell Vince, or Vince is like, "I trust you. You seem to get it." Is it like a conversation? Clearly, you've had
It's
all this process, and then you go, "Okay, Vince, here it is," and he's
it's
like,
it's
"All right,
definitely a
yeah,
conversation because I got excited about it. Went to him and said, "Here it is," and some of it was already there.
yeah,
Some of it was already there. It was like the breadcrumbs and just kind of follow the breadcrumbs. And the writing was so superb that it kind of leads you to that point. And then you enhance it, you find it on your own. And then it worked because he knew that once Walter White becomes Heisenberg, everything changes.
yeah,
We changed the color palette. He's wearing reds and blacks, and I had lost weight, and instead of my shoulders
mm,
rolled over like an aged man, his shoulders go back. He's got money in his pocket. Everything changed.
yeah,
So we changed him emotionally, physically, intellectually. He felt empowered.
yeah." As you said, I'm a comedy guy, so my favorite episodes are the episodes that lean a little bit more comedy. So I want to ask you about the Fly episode
Yeah.
because it is obviously there's dramatic things to it, but in my head I think of it like a comedy, like a Pinter play or like a Beckett play, where it's like a tragic comedy or a comedy of menace, where you're like, there's something looming, but there's like legitimately like sitcom like pratfalls in this episode. Do you remember shooting that episode?
Yeah.
What do you remember? What
Well,
stands
that
out?
was originally asked by the studio to do a bottle episode.
Yeah,
Um, and
an episode all shot on location to save
to save
save
money.
money.
Yeah. to save money. And we were shooting it in 9 days usually, and I think they were targeting to try to, can you do this? Can you do this? And impulsively, Vince Gilligan rightfully said, "No, please don't dictate
Yeah.
what to do
Yeah.
or how to run the show. I will do the show and we'll hand it over to you." But he's a good guy, and he's appreciative of the studio and the network giving us the money to do this show. So it was in the back of his head, and he finally told them, "If I think of something that is absolutely on target with the show, doesn't hurt the story in any way, but has a sensibility of being condensed and some, yeah, okay." So he conceived this show, this idea that Walter White was hypersensitive to any kind of contamination that may diminish the quality of his work. And he does this fly. This fly could contaminate. And so he gets obsessed with killing this fly, for those who haven't seen it. And it almost all of it takes place in the
There's a scene where you and Jesse fight with the fly swatter thing, and it is a very goofy. If you saw just that scene and didn't know anything else about, you'd be like, "It's a funny scene. You're acting funny. Your physicality is kind of funny in it." How do you approach a scene like that, being like, "Well, I can't fully goofy it up, but like you
no.
want to play it some," because you said part of what's interesting about the show is the dynamics of it. How do you approach the sort of clearly comedic things in the show to make sure it hits an exact level?
Not to contradict John C. Reilly, because what he said is true in some
Yeah.
cases, but in this case, you can't be in on the joke.
Yeah.
If you're in on the joke, it dies. So as the character, you have to be absolutely sincere and serious. And as a matter of fact, the more I was, the funnier it is to other people. But the more insistent he is, he needs that fly swatter, because that is the weapon of choice
Yeah.
to to kill a fly. And God damn it, I'm going to, it's like
It's funny even thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because there's a moment where you're reaching on like a pedestal of some sort and you do a fall. And I remember in the office just laugh so loudly because it is such a funny fall, because he is like, the amount of energy he's putting towards this thing and how unimportant this thing is.
Yeah.
But you're playing still. This is Walter. That energy is the same Walter that leads to all the other decisions. It's just where he's pointing it at this
Yeah.
moment.
Well, how many times have we done something stupid and hurt ourselves? And you think back and you go, "Oh my, what an idiot!" It's like, "Oh, I can't quite. The little step stool I have doesn't quite." Well, I'll put some books down, and I'll put the step stool on top of the books, and then I'll step on the top step, which is actually not a step. It's supposed to be a shelf, but and you're like, "Ah!" It's like, well, that's what it is.
Yeah. And in that moment, you're being a person. You're not being like,
I'm
look
not
at me right now.
No, it's like, I need to get this thing, and I'm going to do it. And that kind of Rube Goldberg kind of construction of a joke, of a situation, is funny, because there's a level of reality to it. Because especially men go, I've done stupid stuff like that before. I wonder, is the switch on or off? Oh, it's on. It's on. It's like, I should have. What am I doing?
And Walter pursues it's the same Rube Goldberg thing that he does. You're seeing him do the entire series, inventing new types of a drug.
Right.
But he's trying to get this fly. And he's like, I did it. I've invented the best type of fly swatter.
Yeah.
It's this thing. So I read your book. I love your book.
Thanks.
I think it's just a great depiction of an actor's life. And there is it's almost Robert Caro-esque quality to you're setting up.
Watch it now.
Well, I'm currently reading The Power Broker. So there is something very similar to how you just tell stories of your life, early life, and it pays off in scenes that we all sort of know. You're like, and the best example is the scene in which Jane dies in season 2, and you sort of are complicit in, and let's say you watch it happen, and you open the book with this story. Can you tell the experience, what it was like for you? What happened in that moment when we were filming that?
Yeah. For my own edification, I need to, whenever there's a scene that is it has such emotional depth that you wanna make sure that you've explored all the options to
Yeah.
get there. Um, I do a little backstory to like, well, and in this case, it was a scene in season 2, where Jane and Jesse are strung out on heroin, and I discover her, and she's choking on her own vomit as an addict, and um, I don't save her,
Yeah.
and so that was the dilemma.
Mhm.
Why doesn't he save her? He's not saving the life of a human being. He could. Boy, there's a Rubicon there that I crossed, and I had to understand why Walter White, at this transition in the show, why he would make this decision here. And so I wrote down just simply, again, doing the
Yeah.
comparisons like I did on Malcolm. I thought, save her, let her die. What are the reasons to save her? Well, she's a human being.
Mhm.
What are the reason? Well, she's reason to let her die. She's got Jesse on heroin.
Mm.
Um, what are the reasons to save her? She's young enough to be my daughter. She could be my daughter. What about this? Well, and so I'm doing this whole pro and con, save her, don't save her, just as like a filter, not to hold on to anything, but just to filter, knowing that somewhere in the recesses when I'm shooting this scene, those options might be percolating through my mind. And if I think of it, that'll show.
Yeah.
And that's all you need to do is think of it, trust that it's showing as opposed to show it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm there, and Kristen is doing such a great job of acting off screen, doing the full choking for me, and Kristen Ritter, and so she's doing that, and all of a sudden I'm there emotionally going, my impulse to save her, don't save her, save her, don't save her, and at that moment, one of those things that I
Yeah.
wrote down popped into my head, and so strongly in that vulnerable state that I was in of she's young enough, she could be my daughter. Sure enough, Kristen Ritter's face disappears for a second, and my own real daughter's face is there in bed choking to death, and it made me jump. And that's what they used in the thing because it was such a jolt.
Yeah.
It's something I didn't plan. I didn't say, "Oh, and here it is, I'm gonna jolt." No, it was just something that struck me, and just as soon as it came, it vanished, and there it was, and this decision of omission to act was very telling,
Yeah.
and she dies. And, that was just whew. But that's typical of the places that actors need to go. It's a vulnerable, dangerous, emotionally dangerous place to go, sometimes physically dangerous, intellectually challenging, but emotionally, it's dangerous. It's
Yeah.
risky.
Yeah, I mean, as a person who's not an actor, I was like, "Well, then what's the rest of your day like? How do you not be in that space
You
anymore?"
can't. You have to recover. And I went and it just so happens that Anna Gunn was on the set that day, and I just came over to her and put my head on her shoulder, and she hugged me. And Aaron was there as well, and I just got hugs. And it was like, phew, and I told him what happened, and it was like, oh my God. And I thanked Kristen and for giving
Yeah.
that to me because that was a moment that really worked and it was jolting. But that is the risk that you do is that you, as an actor, have to be emotionally open to anything possible happening. And from your own personal
Yeah.
life, from your imagination, but it affects you.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Ev
just I
e
just did this play
Yeah.
in London, and every night at the conclusion of this play, it's a gut punch. And what happens, is yeah, you're wiped out, and the next morning you have a hangover, an
Yeah.
exhaustion hangover, and you kinda have to shake it out and find some way to get out of it.
I mean, even talking about it, it feels like I can feel the sense memory you have from that experience as if that was as much as you were able to in that moment imagine your daughter's face on this person, even telling the story, you remember it's
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, you have recall to it, and that's the thing. That's really the thing that actors have to do. You get used to it. And so I've been doing this for 47 years now, and I'm so used to allowing myself to be vulnerable that it doesn't take much for me to just open up and
Yeah.
go, "Okay, here it goes. I'm diving in. I don't know what's gonna happen, but here it is."
Yeah.
You know?
How do you feel about sort of the idea of in character all day type of method acting of a person who's like, I'm for the months we're shooting, I'm Walter White. Address me as Walter White. I'm going to be wearing the hat. How do you feel about that approach?
I can't do it. I would be a wreck. I wouldn't survive
Hmm.
because the energy it would take to stay in character all day. So if you and I think in film and television, the waiting is the toughest part about it. You're waiting and waiting and waiting to do the actual work. I can't imagine, 3/4 of your day waiting
Hmm.
to do a quarter of the work. Uh, I don't know what you would do. If you're doing a period piece, right? Then you have no computer, you have no phone. Y what do you'd have no dressing room, really. You don't have television, you don't have
Yeah, yeah.
you don't have those things. So are you just looking at a rock or, I mean, you got some parchment out and, I mean, I guess,
Yeah.
but instead, acting, the real art of acting is to create the illusion. It's a magic trick.
Yeah.
It's no different than a magician. It's creating the illusion of something that isn't. So when an audience sits in a theater or at home or in a movie theater, whatever, they are suspending their belief system willingly.
Hmm.
They want to be told a story. And that's the genius thing about human beings and the lovely thing about human beings. No matter if you're 2 or 102, you want to be told a story.
Yeah. So I want to do a little segment called Credit History, where I'm just going to pick some roles from your varied career, some more well known than other ones,
Okay.
and see what if you remember anything about that experience.
Oh boy.
Do you remember in 1993 shooting Power Rangers?
And in 1993, 93?
Well, who knows when you shot it, but like,
Oh, when well, but, no, it wasn't. You mean the movie?
I honestly, it just says you were in Power Rangers.
In Power Rangers. I did, in 1980, I think I started doing voices
Yeah,
on the Power Rangers when it came over from Japan, and, I did all these voices. I forget, "Well, I shall defeat you," and all these things. So I was doing all these voices, and they had to give, by the way, a little trivia question. The Blue Power Ranger, you know what his name is?
no,
Billy Cranston. They didn't wanna say Bryan Cranston, so his name, well, we have to give him Americanized names, so how about Billy? Okay, but what's his last name? And I'm happened to be in the booth,
yeah, yeah,
and they're saying, "Hey, we're putting names down for these characters. Do you mind if we use yours?" And I go, "No, it's okay." And then so he became Billy
yeah.
Cranston. So then years later, they asked me if I wanted to
Oh, the
be in the
movie.
movie, and I said, "Kind of a nice bookend. Yeah, let's do that." I'm what's his name? Zordan?
Yeah,
Zordon, the
yeah.
the guy in the wall. And that was interesting because it's, I had to put my chin in a cradle and I couldn't move. I could only move my eyes, but I couldn't. And I would talk like this. And what's the matter with you? And everyone was in front of me, so my face would move across this thing, and it was really interesting to shoot that way. But no makeup, no
Yeah.
hair, no wardrobe.
Easy,
Count
easy.
me in.
1994, you're in Walker, Texas Ranger. Chuck Norris recently deceased.
R.I.P. Chuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you remember shooting that?
The only thing I remember shooting about, um, there was an actress, I forget. We were down in it's shot in Dallas, I believe, and, I was an actor for hire,
Yeah.
and I don't remember the name of the director, but I found him to be very rude. So there you are, I am calling you out. And IMDb is going to reveal that name. And I found he was kind of yelling at the crew and yelling. And I thought, God, this is so unnecessary. Why don't you just say, oh, could we have quiet, please?
Yeah.
And like
be a person. Yeah.
So at the hotel, we found out, the other guest stars and I found out what room he was in. And so we ordered all our food and drink and under his name and room number. I am now admitting to a crime that was committed in what year was that?
94, the episode aired. Who knows when he shot it? So
yeah, 93,
I feel like the statute of limitations on whatever that is.
I hope so.
I hope so. 1996, That Thing You Do.
Mm. That Thing You Do was Tom Hanks's brilliant little movie about a would-be successful band and what usually happens to bands. I love that movie. I thought it was clever and funny and sweet. And I got to play an astronaut in that movie on stage with Peter Scolari, and who I had worked with a couple times. And it was so much fun, and the snappy little tune, That Thing You Do. And that's when I first met Charlize Theron. And she was in that movie. I think it was one of her first things ever. And my wife and I met her at the, I think I bumped into her while we were shooting something. And then I met her at the cast party. And she was so impressive and so beautiful and so talented that we said, oh, yeah, well, nice talking to you. Yeah, goodbye. And my wife and I both looked at each other and went, she's a star. This woman is going to be a star.
Yeah.
And it's just like, boom. She was so incredible.
One more from the 90s. 1997, you were in Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Okay, I think I played a warlock in that one. I think I was and for some reason, I didn't have my pants on. Which is normal for, they're right. Let's get Cranston. He'll take his pants off. Something like I don't really remember too much about that.
Jump cut. What do you remember? 2010, your week hosting Saturday Night Live.
Oh, was it 2010?
I believe so. Yeah.
Wow. It's like being shot out of a cannon. Steve Higgins, who was the head writer at the time, he's now executive producer with Seth Meyers. He told me two things. He said, trust the cards. Trust the cards. Don't think you have this memorized, right? Trust the cards and let go of perfection. This is not a perfect medium. There is no way that you can strive for perfection here. You work hard, you reach, you go, but trust the cards and don't be a perfectionist. And that was really good advice. But it was amazing. I had a blast. It was such a rush. And I'm standing backstage at 11:30 at night on that Saturday night, and I hear the famous voice of Don Pardo going, "I'm the host this week, Bryan Cranston." And I had a moment going like, oh my God. And the door opens and I go through, and it was just stunning, because when you're standing behind that door, it's not finished on the other side. And I scrawled my name on it, and everybody's name is there. And you're having an oh my God moment, because I was 19 years old when it first premiered. So I have a complete history of Saturday Night Live. And I got to know Lorne Michaels a little bit, and I like the guy, and he knows he knows his stuff.
Yeah, you are in a sketch I absolutely love, the Magellan Brothers. It's also one of Seth Meyers' favorite sketches. Go look if you have not seen it. Watch it. Do you recall the tune you sing?
Yeah. It's like I wanna ping. I want to give you a bottle of sparkling. How's it going? Sparkling apple juice to your house. Did you get it?
Yeah.
I sent a bottle of sparkling apple apple juice to your house. Okay, so now picture this. Wednesday in the big pitch meeting when there's like 80 scenes to
Sure.
read, and they're figuring out what they're going to do for Saturday. Fred Armisen comes in and he says, "Well, let me sing it with you, and I will do it." Okay, and just imagine. I say, okay, these two brothers, and they're doing a concert now. They had one big hit, and here's the hit. And he and I were singing this song, and the look of blank faces across the room, like, really? And Fred is so brilliant that it's like, yeah, really. And it's so nothing that it becomes something.
Yeah.
I would never have been able to go there. I have to think it's something and then try to make it an enhanced something. He sees the nothing, and then you push the nothing into the realm of something. And I was like, oh my God,
That's
just
interesting.
brilliant.
Yeah. I want to ask you about All the Way, which you did for theater for a while, and then you filmed a version of it. And specifically, the first scene in the White House, which is you're redoing a famous call that LBJ does, where he talks about he's talking to his tailor while talking to a senator, and it's such a silly scene out of context. Do you remember how to play it? This is a serious work, but you're playing this guy who is funny. He's obviously he's talking about his bunghole.
Yeah.
And
Oh, he's talking to Hager. He owns the Hager slacks. And he's, well, listen, I'll tell you, I need them slacks. I like them. I'll get, and you can tell he's eating too, because I listened to the tape. This is actually on tape.
Yeah, no, I
Michael
believe it went.
Beschloss.
Yeah, I know. I've listened to it before, and I was like, I'm so excited.
It's
This is
so exciting.
I was showing everybody.
And so I'm repeating this. It's like, I need, listen, I need some more room. I need more room between my nutsack and my bunghole. And he just says it like it's nothing.
Yeah.
And he's eating. But he often did that in getting to know the idiosyncratic world of LBJ. He knew how he could get people off their game. He would have a situation. It's like he was so tall. He was like 6'3", 6'4", and he would put his hand on your shoulder as a friend. Now Jesse, I know you said your mother wasn't feeling well. I hope that's gone now. And I gave you that name of the doctor. I hope you called. And it's like such a friendly.
Yeah.
And he's talking about you, and you then go, oh yeah, Mr. President, yes, I did call, and she is feeling much better. Good. And then the hand would slip from the shoulder to around the neck and go, now listen, Jesse, I need your vote on this bill. Now don't let me down. And he just praised you, and he just helped you, and all of a sudden you feel like a little boy.
Yeah.
Now, Jesse, I need your help on this bill. Don't let me down. God damn it. You're going to come through on me. And when yes, Mr. President. It didn't matter if it was Republican or Democrat.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, yes. And then, good God, I got shit to do. Now go on, get on. And he would get you out before you could say, but Mr. President, I really, come on, go on, get out. And it's like all of a sudden, oh my God, I just committed to the bill. My party is going to hate me for, it's like, he was amazing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he took a shit in front of people all the time. He would drop trowel, go into his bathroom, right off the Oval Office. Come on here. Come here. Listen. Come here, Joe. Come here, Jesse. I need to talk to you. Come here. Now, listen. Now we got a lot of stuff to do. We want to do some good things, Mr. President. No, come on. And he'd leave the door open. And he would just take his pants down, and he'd sit on the toilet.
Unbelievable.
And they're like, people are going, I don't want to look at this. And he would just talk to you and get you so off your game that you'd get confused. And he was amazing. And I was very honored to be able to play him both on Broadway and in the movie.
Yeah. 2017, Curb Your Enthusiasm. So you talked a little bit about what you learned from Seinfeld, and then be back with the Masters.
So Larry contacts me and says, I'd like you to be in the show. Do you want to be in the show? Yeah, I'd like to, Larry. Okay, listen, here's how we do it. I give you a couple an outline, what we're going to talk about, and then we talk about it. You have a responsibility about getting out a couple things. You have two things you got to get out, and you're going to play my therapist. Okay, all right, we'll see you then. It's like okay, okay, and so I had seen the show, of course,
Yeah.
and so I got to play his therapist, and as long as I got my two responsible plot line points out at some point during this conversation, I could say anything I wanted. And so, one time I said, "Okay, Larry, in the last session that we had, you were talking about how much you enjoyed going to the zoo and watching animals fornicate. Is that still something you enjoy doing?" And he would laugh, and then and then Schaefer, the director, would go, "Stop laughing, stop laughing," which was reminiscent of
Mm.
Seinfeld,
Yeah.
because Larry would scold Jerry for laughing. And that show was, I mean, so both those shows, I was just so blessed and lucky to
Yeah.
be on them.
There's one thing in your book you say in passing, but you say you've tried stand up.
Oh, yeah.
How much? What was it like? Tell me your Bryan Cranston stand-up comedian
Oh,
story.
yeah,
This
yeah.
is prime stand-up comedy times.
Prime stand-up comedy time. You're not old enough to know, but in the late '70s, early '80s, there were comedy clubs all over
Yeah.
the place. And in New York, the Cellar, of course, and all the um, Catch a Rising Star and all that. I mean, there was all kinds of things. In LA, also, there was, of course, the Improv, the Comedy Store. There was the Playboy Club in
Mm.
Century City. There was the Laugh Stop in different places. There was the Ice House. I mean, you can go every single night. And so I decided that I should try my hand at stand-up because it scared me. I couldn't think of anything more frightening than a microphone and a light, go,
Yeah.
and a room full of people who've been drinking. Hey, what could be better? So I said, I got to get over this fear. So I took a class and I was like, okay, how to structure it. Okay, well, that makes sense. And I just got to get out and do
Yeah.
it. So I started doing it, and I only did I was almost 8, 9 months that I did it. And I only got um, to the level. I rose gratefully from terrible to mediocrity. I never got past that. There was one night I was at the Laugh Stop in Encino, which is in a strip mall, in the
Yeah.
corner of a strip mall. It was the best night I had. For some reason, it was early enough. Someone didn't show up. I got a slot, and I did my material, and I got laughs. I was like, "Oh my God!" I quickly got in the car. I drove to the Improv. Convinced the guy, "You gotta let me in." He goes, "I finally got it. I've got it." He goes, "Okay, you'll be on in an hour." Okay, so the neighborhood of the Improv, I walked around the block doing my routine,
Sure,
just
sure.
talking about my routine around the block, and about an hour comes up. Now it's about, I don't know, 12:15, 12:30 in the evening, and, people are juiced. And I get up there and I do the same routine, same night. It's not the same.
No.
It's not the same. And I think I noticeably felt so insecure at that moment because I thought I had the trigger. I thought I found the key to the lock. No, I didn't find the key to the lock. I had a lucky day,
Yeah, yeah.
and I did. I don't know why. And so I realized, okay. My agent then says to me, "You blew off that interview the other day," and I go, "Yeah, I just couldn't make it. I was so tired because I'm going to bed around 4 o'clock in the
Yeah,
morning."
yeah.
I said, "Oh, so you're gonna be you're a stand-up comedian then, you know? I don't handle stand-ups.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't wanna be an actor anymore." And, "Well, of course I wanna be an actor." "Oh, well, I have auditions. You want" And I started realizing, "Oh, wait a minute. What am I doing? I did this only to
Yeah, yeah.
overcome fear, but it wasn't part of my
Yeah.
soul." Like, the stand-ups who are really belong there, they have no choice but to do this,
Yeah.
and so that wasn't me.
Yeah.
So I went, "Oh, I gotta stop," and I went back to being an actor.
The overall perception, if you read the book, is you treat acting as a job. You see
Yeah.
a person, you go, "This is a person who's acting they treat it like a job," which does not mean you don't love it, but, like, you treat it with this sort of, workmanlike quality and almost egolessness of just like, "This is a job, and you should treat it with like a person would treat a job." Where does that instinct come from you?
Well, my father was an actor.
Yeah.
and always struggled. And he had a point of view of, I got to be a star. I want to be a big star. I'm going to be a star. And that crushed him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's almost figuratively and literally reaching for a star.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. So I think from that, just like the lesson on Malcolm in the Middle, watch what we do and do the opposite. I kind of did that with my parents. I
Yeah.
watched what they did. What didn't work was for the most part, and I did the opposite. So my dad reaching for the star, I gotta be a star, I gotta be a star. I went, no. All I'd love to do is to be a good working actor. If I can make a living as an actor, that's my success. And to this day, that's my most cherished accomplishment, is saying that at the age of 25, from that point on, I have only acted.
Yeah.
That's all I've done.
So, in the book you quote Stanislavski's "Love the art in yourself, not yourself in the art," which is this idea. What then happens where you then are a star, the thing that you are not aiming for, you just are that. How do you reconcile that? How does that help or hinder your desire to just be a working actor?
No, you just, there's no course in how to be a celebrity,
Yeah.
how to be famous. It's almost like, you see famous people and you see how they handle it and things like that on a talk show or in person. Oh, look at he's waving, or look at this guy doesn't want to pay any attention to his fans or whatever. So you kind of have a distant understanding. Same thing with being a parent.
Yeah.
You kind of know but you don't know
Mhm.
until you're a parent.
Yeah.
You don't know. And so it's this kind of the same thing with fame. You kind of have to step through and figure out, well, what does this mean to me? The first couple times you're recognized, oh, you know who I am? Oh, wow, that's kind of cool. Well, you want a picture with me? Oh, you want my autograph? Oh,
Yeah.
wow, that's kind of neat. But then you realize that's a byproduct of doing something else.
Mm.
It doesn't excite me. It excites the fans. And I'm happy that the fans are excited. And when I do a play, I'm out there every single night. I'm signing every single playbill, taking a picture with every single fan who came to the show, because I want to give thanks. And I said, you know what? I'm very, very lucky.
Mhm.
And thank you for coming to see my play, and whatever. And same thing with, we see people on the street and stuff. But I've stopped signing the autographs of merchandise because that's a transactional thing that if it's a picture with you, sure, I'll take a picture with you, and that's personal,
Yeah.
but I don't want you to go and sell things and stuff like that.
I imagine also doing theater is when you get to the level of celebrity, it's nice because it's like, oh, this is a way of interacting with the fans directly, but I have more control of the situation. It's more directly tied to the art, opposed to the meeting fans on the street and they want something else from it. It's like, no, the thing I give you is the acting or whatever. So I imagine you've done multiple theaters. There's that nice where it's like, okay, now we get to have this intimate experience, but without it having to be so driven about fame and much more focused on the acting.
Yeah, and for me, it's like the business of live theater is in jeopardy. The cost of Broadway and West End is climbing so much that it's becoming an elitist activity.
Yeah.
If you're rich, you can go. If you're not rich, you can't go. And it's like, oof. So I always try to figure out ways to stimulate people who are
Mm.
coming. I always ask, whose first play is this, and I'm honored. Like, oh my God, your first play is the one I was in. It
Yeah.
was like fantastic. But there's got to be other ways to be able to stimulate new works and people getting interested at a very inexpensive cost. I know that Hugh Jackman and Leah Schreiber are working together on a theater piece down at the Banana
Yeah.
Lane, and they have a tiered structure.
Mm.
So I went to see Hugh's play a little while ago and paid $200 per ticket because I can. Um, on the other side of the spectrum, the same seats next to me, $15 per
Mhm.
person, depending on and that's the way it has to be. So I'm fine and more than willing to pay the $200, whatever the top price is, so that we can have other people who don't have that level of income to be able to enjoy live theater as well.
Yeah. In your book, you said your daughter had an interest in acting at a young age.
Yeah.
But you directed her to classes and experiences that didn't professionalize her, which I thought was a really interesting sentence. What does that mean in practice? Especially in
Um,
LA, how do you avoid that aspect where I imagined it is the world?
once your child is, able to
Yeah.
communicate with you verbally, she will start negotiating with, "Oh, honey, I need you to go to bed." "No." It's like, "Oh god, okay." How can we, so you're constantly doing that with your child as you go. And Taylor showed keen interest in being in acting when she was very young. She was doing like little plays in school, and she was doing it all the way middle school, high school, college. And so we knew that was where she was going,
Yeah.
that she was going to fall into the family business, which, when you think about it, is the most common thing in the world.
Sure, yeah.
There are more people in the world who go into the family business than not. And by far,
Yeah.
actually. That quote you have about Stanislavski has always stayed with me, because that means exactly where a person should or should not go into this business as a career.
Mm,
It should be love the art within you, not you within the art.
yeah.
So if it's part of your being and you are energized and empowered by what you're doing, that's a good sign that you may want to follow that. But if you're thinking, and I get some questions like seminars in high school getting, "Hey man, so have you ever worked with so and so, and what kind of house do you have, and what car do you drive?" And it's like, all those people who ask those questions, you should probably consider some other business than going into being
Yeah.
an actor.
You mentioned the family business quality, and you say in your book, I love this sentence, which is, "My parents met like most people do in an acting class in Hollywood." What is it about your family that is like, clearly, obviously, there is, you see a person be an actor, you're like, oh, I can, that, that's a job. A lot of kids think about doing the job their parents have, regardless. But clearly, there's something genetically or some predisposition to all you have that like leads to this thing. Because there's lots of jobs in Hollywood someone can have. Do you have a sense of like what connects the Cranstons?
Well, actually, Taylor is now a fourth generation
Yeah.
actor,
Yeah.
because my grandfather was a vaudeville actor. My dad started out in radio and then did
Yeah.
television
Yeah.
and some films. So, but it's what you can share.
Yeah. What's it like seeing her career
Oh
now?
my God. Uh, my wife and I, her mother, are so excited for her. Um, Taylor got into acting for all the right reasons. She is in love. And that's what I tell anyone. I said, if you know that you're not in love, you're not ready for
Yeah.
to be a professional. And you don't need to be a professional. You can get your acting chops out in community theater or a student film, or
Mhm.
will they do that? That's fun.
Yeah.
But if you really are daydreaming about it, you wake up, you're thinking in character, you're writing stories, you're taking your iPhone and you're making little movies, and it's like, then you're already in the lean, you're already there, and that's what Taylor was. So we kind of knew. When she was 16, I was directing an episode of Breaking Bad, and you are when you're directing, you're slotted. In television directing, you're slotted.
Yeah.
This is the time that I'm doing this, but you don't know what episode that's going to be,
Mm.
right? So all of a sudden, this episode that I'm directing, I can't wait to read it because I don't know what I'm doing, but this is when I'm doing it. And they're ready with this one, and here's the next one. And I look at it, and it's the plane crash, and we're at there's a school assembly,
Yeah.
and this 16-year-old sad-faced girl stands up and say, "Why would God allow this to happen, to have a plane
Mhm.
crash?" And I read this, and how old is my daughter? Taylor's 16 at the time. So I go to Robin and I say, "Babe, I think if we don't at least explore this, we might regret it,
Mm.
and she might regret it. This is an opportunity. This fell into the lap." So I said, we agreed that it would be we were going to present it to her. And said, and so we
It's
went.
like, you're her team.
Yeah, but we presented it to her in a sense. I said, there might be a role for you in this, but you have to audition for it.
Yeah.
No one's going to hand you anything. You need to work for this if you want it. And if you don't, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I slid it to her. She read it. I go, what do you think? And she goes, I'm nervous. And I go, yeah, that's natural. She goes, it scares me. Yeah, that's natural too. Do you want to try it or not? Do you want to audition? Yeah, I think I need to. She was really apprehensive about it. First one.
Yeah.
So I said, okay. So I had the casting people set it up as a normal casting. I then told AMC and Sony, our network and studio, I'm not going to watch this. I'm going to watch everyone else's tape except this one. I'm not going to decide on this. I want you to decide. But here's the codicil. She's got to be the best. If she is not the best, we will not hire her. And I'm absolutely fine with that. I'm absolutely good with that.
Yeah.
Because the next best thing to getting a job is not getting a job. That tells you, oh, God, I thought I did really well. And I would say to people who go, I thought I was going to get that role. You did so well. And you go, you did. But that's just the way it is.
And that's the job.
That's it. Yeah. So she auditioned, and I didn't see it. I didn't see her audition until after Sony and AMC said, we want to hire her. And I said, you got to tell me, you better not be doing this because I'm directing.
Yeah.
It's got to be, she's the best. No, I swear to God, she was the best. We saw them all. She was okay.
Are you able to watch The Pit and see it as a TV show, or ultimately you're seeing your daughter acting?
You know, I am able to watch it because it's so well crafted.
Yeah.
It's so well executed from episode to episode. It's just phenomenal. It's a really beautiful, beautiful story. And I'm a fan.
Yeah.
When Taylor's working, we ask her how's work, and there was a thing that happened, and it was good, and it was like, ooh, today was tough. I had 3 different medical terms, both with multiple syllables that had to blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I tell everybody, the work that the actors playing doctors and nurses on that show, that's the hardest work you can do. That's another language. And I tell it, that's harder than what I'm doing.
Yeah. So I was watching Trumbo, and I was thinking about your family, and in many ways, like, show business, not acting, but show business really hurt your father as you depict it. Like, the idea of being a star as conceived by Hollywood was arguably harmful to your family in some ways. And then you have the experience of Trumbo and all the potential ills of Hollywood's past are explored to you. In general, what gives you faith in show business?
What gives me faith in show business?
If anything, because I do think at a time where people are particularly, and not to get into the particulars of the industry, but I think people are particularly cynical about it. What gives you still believe in it?
I mean, I think there's always been cynicism regarding people who are doing things that are kind of extraordinary. To make an hour of television on The Pit is very hard to do.
Yeah.
To make a half an hour of The Studio, believe me, it's excruciatingly difficult to do it because the people who do it really well in those 2 cases and many others, they don't accept good enough. It's not good enough. We got to get better. We got to do it better. What's better? What's the best? Keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. And we got to stop. We're all exhausted. We have to stop and go home. But I don't look at it like it's some beacon on the hill. If you're capable of doing something, I think you do it to the best of your ability, no matter what it is. I don't think show business is any different than making shoes or painting a house. It is a craft. You learn certain things, and there is a talent to painting a house. There's talent certainly to making a shoe. It's like or being a farmer and raising a beautiful crop. I mean, there's ability, talent, and there's craft to it. And you rely on all those things. Sometimes not, and they fluctuate in what's really needed here. Sometimes when you are in the 15th hour and you're like, I am drained of any more energy. I don't think I have any thoughts left. I'm going to lean on my craft right now to get through this scene, to get it done, and to lean on the craft, get it done, and rest.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you do have to rely on it.
You
I
talked
don't know if that answers your
Yeah, I think so.
questions or not.
I think it's the work is ultimately,
It's
I
the
think
work.
you've talked pretty publicly about, some people thought it was a retirement, but ultimately a sabbatical that you're hoping to take in 2026, which we're now in 2026. Um, no scripts, no social media, a village in France, I believe is the idea. Ha Is that still the plan? When you imagine waking up, what are you hoping to feel?
So I think what was going on is that this is an interview I did
3 years ago?
3, 4 years ago, something
Yeah.
like that. And in the interview, I said, this person was saying, you had, a variety of different characters and things. And to go, yeah, I've been very active for the last 25, 30 years, really, that I haven't stopped working. And I said, but the last 30 years, I haven't had a lot of life
Yeah.
experience. I've been spending.
Mhm.
I've been spending, doing character ideas, offers. Yeah, grab. It's like, oh yeah, this. Going in a bubble from a movie set to a live theater to a television set is not. That's
Yeah.
not real life. So I'm depleted. I felt it. I felt that my ability to come up with unique ideas to develop a character were getting less.
Mhm.
They were lessened, and I thought, "Oh, I'm getting empty. I need to push into another area so that I can have more life experience and a rest." And so I said, I need to hit a reset. I need to hit the pause
Yeah.
button. That's all I said. Reset, pause.
Yes.
I need to pause for a while. I don't know, maybe 6 months to a year or something, and just kind of get my head straight or something. Well, the the article came out and said, he has to hit the pause button, a retirement of
Mhm.
sorts. And I went, what? I never used those words.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, so
Yeah, that's how it
that's
gets
how
off.
it works. And then so all of a sudden that becomes you're retiring. And I go, no. So I've been having to not even walk back just
You
to
just
clarify.
So, but is the pause is still happening after this
Yeah,
current
well, I learned that when you've extended yourself, and I have a production company, I have a mezcal and business,
Yeah.
which is going incredibly well, and those business entities, I have responsibility to, and I will not shirk my responsibility.
Sure.
So my Moonshot Entertainment is production company. Dos Hombres Mezcal is, those are important things. And people are working for me into
Yeah, yeah,
those
yeah.
entities, and I'm responsible for that. So I won't take that lightly. I need to make sure that when I shift in or out of
Mm,
something, that it's at the right time and that it's well taken care of, and there's not a drop or so I need to just be careful in how those things are. So the plan is working. It just takes time
slow,
to
yeah,
be
yeah.
able to properly
Do you have
do
a
it.
vision for what your career would look like after?
No.
That's the goal. The goal is to create the vision.
The goal is to go to neutral
Mm,
so that I can become inspired by new
yeah.
stimuli.
Be a observer, not the observed.
Well, yeah. I mean, you read that? Yeah. David Duchovny told me that when he was a star on X-Files, and I thought that was a brilliant observation, is that I used to observe people all the time, and I still tell young actors, "You're working constantly. Go to a park, go to a restaurant, go to a Starbucks or whatever, and you're watching people, study them. Imagine what their life is going through right now, and then come and file it away. That's human behavior, and
Yeah.
that's what we need to be able to do." And Duchovny said, "Yeah, and then once you become a celebrity, you now become the observed and can no longer observe." And I
Yeah.
went, "Oh my God, that's brilliant."
One thought I had in your book, you talked about working with Robert Forster in the final season of Breaking Bad, where he played Ed, the disappearer in the final season of the show, who brings you to New Hampshire to hide out. And you're describing, he was at Before that, it had a huge career, larger in career. You say, in those last few days of shooting Breaking Bad with him, I reflected on the arc of Bob's career. He did it right. He understood the ebb and flow of this business. An accomplished movie star, he now does small roles and enjoys every minute of it. He never developed a sense of entitlement on set. He said quite often, "Happy to be here." He meant it. Is that the goal?
Well, the words are in that sentence. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Bob was that way, and will recall I was a production assistant on a movie called Alligator that he was the star of. And one time I was, I don't know, 21, 22 years old, 22. And I was making the blood that
Yeah.
goes in the alligator. And he popped into a transport van that we were going to the set. And he said, "Hey, can I come in here?" "Well, you know what, the actors, you can get your own van." And he goes, "Nah, no, we're," and he popped in and he sat next to me, and I'm thinking, I'm just kind of quiet. That's the star of the movie. And he said, "Hey, how are you?" And I go, "Fine." And he goes, "I'm Bob." "Oh, hi, Bob. I'm Brian." "Hey, Brian, what do you do?" And I thought, Jesus, he's talking to me. He's like a human being. He's like kind and engaging. Wow, you could do that? You can be the star of a movie and still to a PA? And it's like, I'm learning all this.
Yeah.
And I told him that. And when it was so interesting when he came on Breaking Bad, of which I was the star on, and he was a guest star on, and I told him the story. And I said, I said, "Do you remember that, Bob?" He goes, "No." And I go, "Of course not, because it was my memory,
Yeah.
not your memory. It had an impact on me, but you were just being you."
Yeah.
And I thought, "Bob, you're my guy." And so I adored him, and I thought that's the way to be.
Yeah.
Look for happiness in whatever you're doing. And if you think that you should only be a star, you need to be a star, you cannot ever not be a star, boy, that's a lot of energy you're spending. Just let it go like this. "Oh, well, what? Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. Hey, oh, it's just it's like you're on one of those roads that you get the wee as you're, and then if you're like roller coasters, you have to tick 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 tick,
You need
and
that part.
that's part of it. That's part of the excitement, and it's like, oh boy, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. You have to do the climb. Yeah.
So now it's time for the final segment. It's like a lightning round, but you can take as much time as you want. It's just these are just the questions we ask at the end.
And is it a lightning round?
It's too late. We already have delineated that that's this section of
Oh,
questions.
that's okay. It's like
Well, think if you have a new name. I guess I guess you can say this is the final segment. It's the final segment.
it's the lightning round with snails.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you can answer quickly. You can decide. You can also pass on these. Do you have a favorite joke? Like a joke?
Okay. Can I?
Yes, they can be as dirty as they need.
Okay. So,
Usually the preamble when people have an answer to this question.
so I think it was Richard Kind who told me this joke, and he said, "All right, there's two friends bump into each other, older guys, and they haven't seen each other in a couple of years. 'Oh my God, how are you? Good to see you. Good, yeah. You look,' and one guy says, 'You look fantastic. I mean, you're thin. You've got color to your face. You look strong, and you look younger than like 10, 20 years.' And he goes, 'Oh, well, I'm having the time of my life. I'm dating twins.' And the guy goes, 'What?' He goes, 'Yeah, I'm dating twins, and man, is it hot.' He's going, 'My God, you're hitting a fantasy that, what, how is this possible? You're dating twins.' 'Yeah, I'm dating twins.' And they go, 'Well, how do you tell them apart?' And he says, 'Well, Veronica wears red nail polish and Bob has a cock.'" That's
Beautiful.
That's a good joke.
It's good.
Bob has a cock.
It's good.
All right.
Do you have a short? I didn't know where it was going, which is exciting.
Yeah.
Do you have a short story of an interaction with a legendary celebrity, actor, director, writer, living or dead, you're willing to share?
Oh, okay. So I was going to a junior college, taking police science courses because that's what I thought it was going to become, a policeman. And at night I was working as a security guard, and basically in a gated community. I was in the booth all day. I was doing my homework, and I was like, "This is perfect." And they said, "No, we need you at there's the DGA Awards at Directors Guild Awards in Hollywood.
Yeah.
We need you to be there." Oh, that's kind of exciting. Okay. So I went there, and they all gathered, and you're going to be over here. You're going to be, and what am I doing? Oh, you're going to be in the back. Go into the back. No, why don't I stay in the front? No, we need you in the back. Okay, so I go in the back. It's much darker. There's no, and I said, "What happens here to a security guard back there?" And he goes, "Oh, nothing happens back here. The people who don't want to go on the red carpet come back
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
They come in, they go in, they do a presentation, they give out an award, they go back out the back door, get in the car, and leave." Oh, and I said, "And all we're doing is if any fans happen to come over here, you got to keep them away." Who's coming? Oh, we have no idea. So all of a sudden, the car pulls up, and out steps Alfred Hitchcock. And I went, "Oh my God, this is Alfred Hitchcock." And he's lumbering, and he goes into the back door. Oh my God. And I recognized the driver, and oh my God, I got to say hello to Alfred Hitchcock. I mean, my God, this is an opportunity. And I said, no, you can't talk to them. Don't say a word to them. Okay, all right. And so as soon as I noticed that the driver was coming around, he was notified, Mr. Hitchcock is now leaving. And so I positioned myself by the door, by the back door, kind of surreptitiously. And then sure enough, the door opens, Mr. Hitchcock walks out, and before the driver can get to his door, I reach for the door and open it for Mr. Hitchcock. And I said to him, "Good evening, Mr. Hitchcock. Did you have a nice time?" To which he replied something that I will never forget. It's always stayed with me. So I said, "Good evening, Mr. Hitchcock. Did you have a nice time?" And he said, "Ah!" And he got in the back of the car, and the other guys go, "Do not talk to you. You're not supposed to talk." But I'll never forget the words of wisdom that Mr. Alfred Hitchcock gave me.
Perfect advice.
Ah!
Whatever this means to you, who is the best actor alive? Or the greatest actor alive?
Alive. I'm going actor or actress, could be whatever. Anthony Hopkins pops into my head. I think he had a brilliant career and still works from not much anymore, but and Meryl's like, Meryl is like, oh my God. Extraordinary work. And I love watching good actors. I don't feel any sense of competition with them. I don't feel like, I got to get as good as I have to jockey him. I have to, there's plenty of room for everybody. Do the best you can. And wherever you are, you are.
Yeah. Was there an actor, especially coming up, that you often were auditioning for the same parts?
Yes and no. I mean, yes, there were several people that I recognized, but
You didn't have the
there wasn't
like
no.
Philip Seymour Hoffman and Jack Black famously were like often would be.
Oh, no, I never felt that there was another person that I recalled, and I think it's because of that. I didn't zero in on someone and go, "Oh, there, he's always here, and I'm always doing this." I got
You weren't
away
thinking
from
of it that
all.
way.
Nah, I don't think of it that way.
Do you have a story of the best time you ever bombed, or a day on set or in theater where you just
I mean, aside from the comedy stand-up experience? Well, my worst experience on a set was in a show called Brooklyn South, where I played a internal affairs cop, but we never got a script. It was David Milch wrote this. He's a brilliant writer, but he just didn't write them. He was like, he was tied to NYPD Blue, and by the time I literally got faxed my sides for the next day, like at 8:30, 8:45 at night, and I had to be there at 6:30 in the morning, memorize. It's like, it was insane. And I had paragraphs and paragraphs. And so I had a migraine headache the entire week, and I had my muscle, everything was wrong and bad. And I hated that experience to the point where I said, okay, now I know how hellish this could be on that side. when you have no time to prepare. I didn't know what I was saying or why I was saying anything. I just had to memorize. I told the series stars of that, like James Sicking, Titus Welliver, John Tenney.
Yeah.
At the time, I said, please don't tell me your real name. I can't put anything more in. Don't tell me your real name. I'm just going to call you by your character name. I'm so exhausted. I don't know what I'm doing. And that's the way it came out too, I think. I never saw it, actually.
Thank you so much.
Hey, appreciate it.